What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. The sun is out. It's beautiful outside. And thank God we got the rain that we had yesterday and last night. We really needed it. This part of North Carolina has been so dry and the pollen's been awful. So hopefully it knocked a bunch of that out of the air and off the trees and get rid of all this allergy mess that's been going on. But anyway, today's video is going to be a follow-up to a video that I did this past Friday. And you can go back and check out that video. The title of that video was Who's Got Gas? Now, obviously that was a play on words as I was referencing a gas line being installed between Rowan and Cabarrus County in our area. So it's a major travel corridor, Old Concord, Salisbury Road. And in that video, I was filming some of the utility work going on up and down that road. And it got me thinking about the importance of knowing what's on your property in the form of an easement and why it's important to get a survey. What is an easement? You may be familiar with what an easement is as a homeowner, you may not be. So I'll try to explain it in layman's terms. But basically an easement is anything that runs along your property that you do not own. It may be a utility pole. It may be, in this case, was a gas line. I also saw some signage for fiber optic going in, high-speed internet going in and around the county and the city limits for residents. And we talked about, are we growing too fast? Are you happy with the growth? Are you not? But regardless of your opinion on that, and I'll give you my personal opinion, I like seeing the growth. Are there some pains with that growth sometimes? Absolutely. But I would rather live in an area that's growing versus one that's stagnant. So, but regardless of your opinion on that, it's important as a homeowner, or if you're potentially buying a home, having an understanding of what's on your property. What are my responsibilities as a homeowner to disclose that information to a potential buyer? And it's important that the agent you're working with, whether your agent represents you as the seller and the listing agent, or if you're representing the buyer in a transaction. And it's really a subject that doesn't get talked about enough when we're talking about buying and selling. And that's really why I wanted to take a little bit of a deep dive into that. And an easement can be a variety of things. It can be a gas line, as I mentioned. It could be a utility pole, utility light on your property. It could be a culvert, especially you see a lot of these in subdivisions. Somebody may have a culvert that runs along their property, to help move rainwater and such down the street and into the sewer systems. And it's important to know that, because when you go to sell that property, it's your responsibility as a seller to disclose that information, as I mentioned. It's also important from a buyer standpoint to get a survey so that you know what's on that property. Make sure your agent is aware or has that conversation with you. For example, I had a property that I sold back in the fall, and it happened to be on Old Concord, Salisbury, and where this big gas line is going through. Well, we were under contract already on the property, and the sellers of the property and the other agent got a notification from the county that that this gas line, this natural gas line, was coming through. Now, in this particular case, the agent did exactly what they were supposed to do. We were still under our due diligence process on this property. The seller got notification that this was coming, and their agent communicated that information to me so that I could share that with the buyer. The buyer had no issue with it, even though this particular property had a very long driveway that went back to acreage and then opened up to this beautiful home. They had no problem with it. Now, the utility company was going to tear up part of their driveway on the home that they was purchasing, and then they were responsible for repairing that driveway. But a utility easement can be a good thing. It can add value to the property. It can give homeowners access to high-speed internet or, you know, natural gas if they want that. But it's really important to have those conversations with your seller as an agent, and, you know, from a buyer standpoint, to understand what's going on and disclose that information. If not, you can get in, you know, some fairly big trouble with it if you don't disclose, you know, a material fact on that property. And that goes back to getting, as I mentioned, a survey. So when you get a survey on a property, whether you currently own it or you're buying it, that survey is going to show what's on your property. You know, whether it be an encroachment, maybe somebody's got a fence next to your property and it's encroaching or over, you know, your line on your property. You guys may have a, you know, a gentleman's agreement per se with that owner next to you, and it may not be an issue for you, but it could be an issue for, you know, someone who's buying your home, and then in return that becomes an issue for you as the current homeowner. So know what an easement is, know if you have any on your property, and if you don't, pay to get a survey. You would rather know of any potential issues before you put your home on the market versus a buyer getting a survey and it being an issue for them and the whole deal falls apart. Typically, in most cases, easements are not a big issue. It's really the norm when you get into subdivisions, whether it be a water culvert or a utility pole. But just be aware of what's on your property and disclose that and be honest about it. And 9 times out of 10, you won't have an issue. With that being said, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Don't forget, check out the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you later.